Now to the new study on plant proteins and long-term health benefits. Could upping your intake of beans, nuts, and more help prevent heart disease?
So a new 2021 study suggests plant-based diets reduce the risk of heart disease. A similar 2021 study suggests that water is wet, the sky is blue, circles are round, and the Pope is Catholic. So let's take a look at this study today to see if plant-based diets really reduce the risk of heart disease. We look at this study in detail to find out. And there's 3 things that you likely have missed if you've seen this newspaper or this news article before. Because I've read through this study in detail and I'm gonna share with you 3 awesome things that are easy to overlook, but are very interesting and a little bit shocking. So are you ready? Let's just dive right into it.
So tell us about this study, Jen.
So Robin, here it is. It was just out in the Journal of the American Heart Association. Pretty big study, over 100,000 postmenopausal women. They were followed then for 18 years. And the findings of this study, pretty interesting. They found that the women who ate more protein from plant-based sources had an associated lower risk of dementia, lower risk of heart disease, and lower risk of something we call all-cause mortality, meaning death from all causes, in comparison to people who ate more red meat, dairy, eggs, and poultry.
Yeah, animal proteins.
Interesting. So the study is called Association of Major Dietary Protein Sources with All-Cause and Cause-Specific Mortality, Prospective Cohort Study. So it followed 102,521 older ladies for up to 24 years, starting at 1993 to 2017. They found a significantly lower risk of death from all causes, death from dementia, and death from heart disease in the women that ate more plants. It concluded with, furthermore, we identified nuts as potential healthier alternatives for red meat, eggs, dairy products, and legumes. Notice that the study concludes with food choices, not protein. And that is a very common misconception in the news and also in our society, that we have a very strong obsession about this one thing in our nutrition: protein.
Red meat, dairy, eggs, and poultry.
Yeah, animal proteins.
Look at this, when Jen touches base upon food choices, the other moderator kind of deflects the question like, oh, protein, animal protein. No, it's the foods.
Yeah, animal protein.
And this is a super common theme in our society in general. I've realized this first when stumbling upon and reading more from Dr. T. Colin Campbell, which is the author of the China study, the largest nutritional study ever conducted, and recently he published a book called Whole. In that book, Dr. T. Colin Campbell really talks about the reductionist paradigm. We take food choices and we kind of look at one single ingredient. Oh, how much carbs do they have? How much protein do they have? When in reality, the dangers or the benefits of the foods arise from the sum of its parts. Quote, if we are truly to understand the meaning of nutrition, its effect on the body, and its potential to transform our collective health, we must stop seeing reductionism as the only method by which to achieve progress and start seeing it as a tool, the results of which can be properly evaluated within a holistic framework. Animal foods, not animal protein itself, do have a higher amount of harmful ingredients in them, such as AGEs or hormones or cholesterol, which are considered harmful. While plant foods, not plant protein, do have a higher amount of beneficial ingredients and nutrients in them, such as antioxidants, phytochemicals, and fiber. More than that, these components really act in unison with each other to strengthen their effects. So it's not really protein that you should be looking out for, it's the food. It's the food choices that you make on a daily basis. And the food choices also really determine another aspect which can reduce or lengthen your life, which is the caloric intake. And this study really shows this very beautifully. Second point is the calories of animal foods. The average intake of calories from animal foods was up to 5 times higher in this study. And that is very important to know because calories are really the key indicator, the key variable in determining whether you gain weight or you lose weight. So the more calories you consume, the more likely are you to gain weight. That's why vegans or people following a plant-based diet on average tend to have a smaller waistline than their omnivore counterparts. We see this in a study called Risk of Overweight and Obesity in Semi-Vegetarian, Lacto-Vegetarian and Vegan Women. which, as the name itself kind of shows you, analyzes the risk of being overweight and obese in women. Specifically, they had a sample size of over 50,000 people, 50,000 women to look at. In that study, they write, vegan women have a lower risk of overweight and obesity than omnivorous women. And this is important to note, because if we take a look at point number 1 and we look at this from a reductionist paradigm, then animal protein has the same amount of calories as plant protein. But animal foods on average have way more calories than plant foods. So it's really not the protein to focus on in a healthy nutrition, it is the foods, it's the food choices. And the third point, let's really end on a very happy note here, is that I can't help but be really positive and happy about the progress that we see in our society and the news toward plant-based eating and vegan eating.
My advice is dip your toe in the water. It doesn't have to be all or none. You could start with just one day of plant-based eating and then maybe that will lead to 2. But listen, if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Okay, I'm going to go with a meatless Monday.
All right.
Meatless Monday.
News sources such as, in this case, Good Morning America, are featuring way more news about plant-based diets and vegan diets. For example, Good Morning America recently featured a New Yorker restaurant which went fully plant-based, which is awesome.
Revealing that when it reopens in June after a prolonged pandemic-induced shutdown, its menu will be 100% vegan.
They also featured Eric Adams and his story how a plant-based diet changed his life.
I learned how to use food, a whole food plant-based diet, to reverse my conditions.
Compare this with 4 years ago when Good Morning America shared Gordon Ramsay and his favorite burger tutorial.
We've got the most amazing ground beef and a little bit of brisket. First things first, season it.
This is not a coincidence. While there's generally more happening in the vegan and plant-based kind of niche that is worth featuring about and worth talking about, we also have to understand that the news in general reflect the attitude of total society. Look, at TV news or news in general make their money by getting a lot of viewers. That's how they kind of justify their advertising dollars. The advertisers only pay them if they get a lot of viewers. And viewers they get by making people happy or serving them what they really want to see. If the news would constantly piss people off, people would just simply not watch the news anymore. So the news featured things that the total society, the huge part of society, wants to see. That's how they make their money. Otherwise, they wouldn't survive. So if news feature more vegan and plant-based things, it means that the general society wants to see those things more, which is very awesome news. No pun intended. So if you like this video, don't forget to smash the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I do videos about veganism, fitness and personal growth. And if you want to get coached by me, I help vegans get in the best shape of their life in a very healthy, effective and sustainable way. I've worked with hundreds of vegans in the past. I'm pretty sure I can help you as well. So if you want, in the description or in the first comment I pin it, there's a link to apply for a free call with me. In that free call, completely free, one-on-one, I give you an expert overview of your current situation, then point you in the right direction, and then if it makes sense, we can touch base and talk about you joining my private coaching program. Regardless if you decide to go for my private coaching program or not, these 60 minutes will be the best 60 minutes that is spent working on your health and fitness this year. So talk to you soon or see you next time. Hope you liked the nice backdrop. It's great. It's great, very professional. Oh yeah, just a little bit hot in here.